Stop for a moment. Before you decide anything, watch this. This story didn't start today. Something here doesn't add up. The term main pop boy is often used online to describe a male artist who dominates charts, headlines, and global conversations at the same time. In recent years, that label has repeatedly been attached to one name, Jungkook of BTS. But what does that title actually mean in measurable industry terms? And how does Jungkook's recent trajectory align with global pop standards rather than just fandom enthusiasm? To understand the current narrative, it is important to revisit the foundation. Jungkook debuted in 2013 as the youngest member of BTS under Big Hit Entertainment, now operating as HYBE. From the beginning, he was positioned as a main vocalist, known for vocal stability, dance precision, and cross-genre adaptability. However, his transition from group member to standalone global pop contender did not happen overnight. The first major indicator came in 2023 with the release of his debut solo album, Golden. The project was strategically built around international pop production. English-language tracks dominated the album, signaling a clear shift toward global mainstream positioning rather than domestic-only promotion. The lead single, 7, featuring Lado, debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This achievement was significant not only for Jungkook personally, but also for the broader K-pop industry. It demonstrated that a Korean soloist could launch directly at the top of the most competitive singles chart in the world without relying solely on group branding. Subsequent releases such as 3D featuring Jack Harlow and Standing Next to You reinforced the strategy. The sonic direction leaned heavily into early 2000's pop and R&B influences, aligning Jungkook with a lineage of Western male pop performers rather than confining him to the K-pop label alone. Commercial metrics supported the branding. Streaming numbers on global platforms reached multi-billion totals within months. Digital sales remained strong across North America, Europe, and parts of Asia. Physical album sales, while lower than full BTS group releases, were still competitive within the solo category. Industry observers noted that Jungkook's promotional rollout mirrored Western pop campaigns more than traditional Korean idol schedules. Appearances on American television programs, collaborations with Western producers, and strategic social media engagement all pointed toward deliberate global positioning. However, chart numbers alone do not define a main pop boy. Public discourse plays a critical role. On social media platforms, Jungkook consistently trends during music releases, live streams, and public appearances. His live broadcasts, sometimes exceeding 1 hour, generate immediate international media coverage. This level of organic engagement reflects sustained public interest beyond album cycles. There is also the branding dimension. Jungkook has served as a global ambassador for major luxury and lifestyle brands. These partnerships indicate confidence from international corporations in his market influence and purchasing power among consumers. In the modern music industry, brand alignment often functions as a measurable indicator of cultural relevance. Yet, the narrative has not been without scrutiny. Some critics argue that the main pop boy label is heavily amplified by fandom culture. Others question whether long-term solo dominance can be maintained once group activities resume in full capacity. These discussions are not unique to Jungkook. They reflect a broader industry pattern where K-pop solo ventures are evaluated against Western pop benchmarks. Another factor influencing the conversation is timing. BTS members are currently navigating a period of mandatory military service obligations in South Korea. This phase has shifted public focus toward individual careers rather than group dynamics. For Jungkook, the solo debut occurred during a transitional moment when global curiosity about each member's independent artistry was at its peak. From an industry perspective, this timing created both opportunity and pressure. Opportunity because attention was concentrated. Pressure because expectations were exceptionally high. Sales data, streaming consistency, and media coverage suggest that Jungkook met those expectations during his active promotional window. The question now centers on sustainability. Historically, Western pop culture has crowned figures like Justin Bieber, Bruno Mars, and The Weeknd as dominant male pop figures based on multi-era longevity, touring power, and cross-generational appeal. The comparison is not about identical career paths, but about measurable impact. Jungkook's streaming profile already places him within conversations typically reserved for those names. His Spotify monthly listeners during peak periods rivaled established Western artists. His music videos accumulated hundreds of millions of views within short timeframes. These metrics demonstrate global reach rather than regional popularity. Public reaction has also been notable for its geographic diversity. While Korean media outlets emphasize national pride in global achievement, Western entertainment publications often frame Jungkook as a breakout international pop act rather than solely a K-pop representative. This dual framing contributes to the main pop boy narrative. Still, something here requires closer examination. The concept of a main pop boy traditionally implies independence from group identity. In Jungkook's case, his association with BTS remains a defining factor. The group's legacy, built through stadium tour and chart-topping albums, undeniably supports individual visibility. Therefore, industry analysts often debate how much of the solo momentum stems from pre-existing brand equity. At the same time, measurable audience retention after initial hype is a critical test. Follow-up performance of non-lead singles, long-term playlist placement, and continued social engagement serve as indicators. Early data suggests that Jungkook's catalog maintains stable streaming activity even outside peak promotional cycles. There is also the performance factor. Live stages of Standing Next to You highlighted choreography complexity and vocal endurance, reinforcing his identity as a performance-driven artist rather than a studio-only success. In the global pop market, live credibility significantly influences artist classification. Beyond numbers and performances, cultural symbolism plays a role. Jungkook represents a generation of Korean artists entering Western mainstream spaces without fully adapting their identity to fit traditional molds. His interviews, often conducted in English, signal confidence in direct global communication while maintaining cultural roots. The public response remains largely supportive, though debates continue within online communities about terminology and hierarchy in pop culture. Some see the main pop boy label as celebratory shorthand. Others view it as competitive framing within fandom spaces. From a neutral industry standpoint, the evidence shows that Jungkook's solo era achieved three primary benchmarks: strong debut impact, sustained streaming performance, and cross-market media recognition. Whether that permanently defines him as the main pop boy depends on future cycles. Longevity, catalog depth, touring capacity, and post-service activities will shape the next phase of evaluation. As of now, the data indicates that Jungkook's solo branding successfully transitioned from idol member to internationally competitive pop artist. The scale of response from both Eastern and Western markets supports the perception that he occupies a leading position among contemporary male soloists of his generation. This story did not start today. It began with years of group foundation, global touring, and steady skill development. The recent milestones are the visible result of that groundwork.